today we will look into this topic of Monte Carlo simulation and how to do it in Python. So has anyone heard of this technique before? I know it's not a, it is a very popular technique, but it is not something that is used very often in the field of data science. But is any of you familiar with
I've
this?
I've heard of it. Like it's related to mechanical engineering and light for solving the integral differential equations.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, so before we go into how we actually implement this in Python, I will give you an overview of the technique. Okay, so this Monte Carlo simulation is used to model the probability of different outcomes in a process that cannot easily be predicted. So the example which Sanjay you were just saying, right? The estimation of an integral. So certain integral functions which cannot be calculated in the conventional way, what they do is they do a large scale random number simulation and then get the results from that. So that is what we call as a Monte Carlo simulation. And this is used in solving problems in a wide variety of domains: finance, engineering, supply chain, science. And one more application in mathematics is we estimate the value of that 3.14, right? Pi is equal to 3.14. So those kinds of estimations also you can do via this Monte Carlo simulation. So what the technique does is it involves assigning multiple values to an uncertain variable to achieve multiple results, and then you take the average of those results to obtain an estimate. Okay, so there is one particular variable for which you don't know what the value can be. Okay, so what you do is you assign multiple values or multiple random values to that variable, and you do those calculations, and those calculations will yield multiple results, and then finally you calculate the average of all those results. That will give you the estimate. Okay, so why do we do this? It is based on something called as the law of large numbers. Okay, so typically when you have a very large number of variables or very large numbers which follow a normal distribution, then the mean will approximate to certain value which will remain constant over time. So that is the underlying concept behind this Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, so that's what we say in the fourth point here. So when faced with uncertainty in forecasting, rather than just replacing the uncertain variable with a single average number, the simulation might give a better solution because it gives multiple values, and then we take the average of all those values, which will roughly correspond to the mean of that distribution. So this is an overview of the Monte Carlo simulation method. So the application that we'll be talking about in today's session is how to use this Monte Carlo simulation to forecast the price for stocks. Okay. So 1 or 2 months back in a previous KK session, we covered how to do the time series forecasting using the traditional time series forecasting technique like ARIMA or exponential smoothing. So Monte Carlo simulation is one other technique which you can use to forecast the value of a variable over certain n periods in the future. Okay, so this is how the formula of the Monte Carlo simulation looks like when it is applied for stock price forecasting. So the price of the stock today is equal to the price of the stock yesterday multiplied by something which we call as the return component. Okay, so this is E is nothing but the exponent. So E power R. R is the daily return of the stock. So that is the percentage difference between today's price and yesterday's price. So that is what we call as the daily return. Okay? And this return has two components. So one is called as the drift, and the other is called as the volatility. Okay. So drift is nothing but whether the price of the stock will increase or decrease. So it's a positive or a negative number. That is what is called as drift. Volatility is nothing but the variance in the price of the stock. So whether the change in the price of the stock from today to yesterday is at very high or very low. So that is what we call as volatility. And there are formulas for each of these individual components. Drift is defined as mu minus half sigma squared, where mu is the mean of the stock prices and sigma is the standard deviation. Okay, So sigma squared is the square of standard deviation, which is nothing but the variance. So formula for drift is mean minus half into variance. Okay, and then for the volatility, it is the formula is standard deviation multiplied by the standard normal distribution. So standard normal distribution is nothing but normal distribution having mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1. Okay, so this is the formula for drift and volatility. We calculate these two components, and then we substitute in this formula for R, which is nothing but the summation of this drift and volatility, and then we raise this R to the power to the exponent power, and then multiply this by the previous value of the stock. Okay. Now, of course, the limitation of this technique is that the price of the stock which you forecast is dependent only on the immediately preceding base price. So it does not. So in that way, it is like a simple moving average kind of thing. So it is not a very advanced technique for forecasting. But in today's exercise, I just wanted to show you how this Monte Carlo technique can be applied. Any questions here on the theory part?
No, sorry, all good.
Okay, so let me go to how to do this in Python. So this code also I'll share with you at the end of the session. So as always, the first step is to import the required libraries in Python. So first we import this pandas library because we'll be working with data frames, and then NumPy library because there are arrays involved in certain parts of the code. And then just to see how that time series plot looks like, for that we'll be using the matplotlib library, and we'll be generating a normal distribution because of this formula that we have here. We need to multiply that normal distribution of numbers by the standard deviation. So the function to generate a normal distribution will be importing it from the SciPy library, the stats package. And then this particular package, the pandas_data reader, might not be available in your Python installation by default. In case it is not available, you can use this command to install the package. And once you install the package, you import the data function. Okay, so this package is essentially to download the stock prices by so here there is an inbuilt library in Python which contains the prices of many common or many popular stocks. So in order to download the data, we import this library. So in today's exercise, we'll be using the stock price data of Google. So Google is not listed in the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's listed in the New York Stock Exchange, where the ticker label is GOOG. Okay. So this is the stock which will be loading as the data. So first I'll be specifying the name of the stock, or that is the ticker name of the stock to be downloaded. And then I will just create an empty data frame in which to put this data. Okay. And from where I'm downloading this data, you see I'm using this function that we have just imported. Okay. In this there is a function called data reader, and in this function we specify the parameters which stock's data to download, that is Google, specified by the ticker parameter. And then data source is basically Yahoo. So Yahoo, if you see, there is something called as Yahoo stocks, which gives you the prices of stocks of different companies. So I forgot to load the libraries. Yeah. So I'll be download the source for the stock price is the Yahoo stocks, and start date is essentially 1st of January 2010. Okay. So from 2020, and I'm not specifying the end date, so we will have data probably until yesterday. Okay. And the parameter that we are downloading is the adjusted close. So stock data, if you see, it will have something called as an opening price, then it will have something called as a closing price, right? So what we need is the closing price. So now that we have downloaded the data, let's see what it looks like. So on each date, starting from 31st of December 2009, 4th Jan 2010, 5th Jan 2010, and so on, it has the stock prices. Let's see. So we have it for 2,999 days, starting from December 2009 to 29th of November 2021, that is yesterday. So just see what this looks like. We'll be using this plot function. Now by default, if you remember, if you just use the plot function without specifying the type of the plot, it will plot a line graph. So import the plots over here, and you can see this is how the time series data looks like when it is visualized as a line graph from 2010 to almost the end of 2021. You can see that the stock price has an increasing trend, especially after 2020 and so on. Okay, so now we will go into the calculation part of the Monte Carlo simulation. So in the subsequent steps, what we'll be doing is we'll basically be estimating the different parameters of the formula. So we'll first calculate the drift, and then we'll generate the normal distribution. We'll calculate the volatility, and then we will add these two parameters. We will be calculating the daily return. Okay, and this part where we calculate the volatility, this is where we will generate that normal distribution. So I told you, right, in this theory part, when we are looking at this slide, we said that rather than replacing the uncertain variable with a single average number, we'll be using the Monte Carlo simulation to get multiple values, and then we'll be taking an average of that particular value. Okay. So this part where we have this sigma into z, right? So this is where we'll be generating that random distribution, and then finally we'll be substituting in those values in this particular formula. Previous day's price multiplied by this return value. We'll be doing this over multiple random iterations, and then finally we'll be taking the average of all those prices to calculate the stock for each day. Okay. So first what we do is we calculate that percentage change. Percentage change is nothing but let me just show you over here. So we have this on 31st of December 2009, we have 308.832. 4th of January, we have 312.205, right? So the percentage change that we specify over here, the PCT underscore change, what this will do is it will just calculate this 312 minus 308 divided by 308. Okay, and then we will add 1 to this particular number. That is because we are taking the logarithm of this number, and in case this percentage change is negative, then the logarithm might get messed up. So in order to make that positive, we will just add 1. So this is just a data cleansing point that we follow over here. But why do we calculate log in the first place? That is because in order to calculate this e power r, right? So if you remember, log of anything to the base e is equal to x means then e power x is equal to that anything. So that is how the formula goes, right? If you remember the mathematics formula, that is how that goes. So in order to get this parameter for e power this r, so the first step to do is to calculate the logarithm. So we'll just calculate the logarithm of the daily return, which is nothing but the percentage change. And then we calculate the individual parameters. So we will calculate the average of these returns. Instead of mu, I'm just using the variable u. And then we calculate the variance. For that, we use this VAR function, which is also by default available in Python. And then we calculate the drift. So drift, if you see, the formula is like mean minus half into square of the standard deviation, that is nothing but the variance. That is mean minus half into variance. So that is what I have specified over here. Mean u minus half is 0.5 into variance. and then I calculate the standard deviation in order to use the next formula that we have. So here to calculate the volatility we need the standard deviation. So for that I will be using this function std, and this normal distribution we will, so we need, let's assume that we need to forecast the stock price for the next 50 days. Okay, and I told you that the Monte Carlo simulation involves a lot of random number generation over multiple trials, right? So for each of the 50 days we'll be having 10,000 random numbers, that is numbers which follow normal distribution. Okay, and then we'll be taking an average of all those 10,000 numbers on each day to calculate the estimated stock price on that particular day. Okay, that we'll be doing for the next 50 days. So I'm specifying a parameter that says days is equal to 50, and in each day I will have 10,000 trials or 10,000 randomly generated numbers. Okay, so this is where I'm generating that number. So the norm.ppf function basically generates your normal distribution with random numbers, and I'll be generating that for 50 days, and on each day I'll be having 10,000 numbers. So that is what we specify over here, these two parameters. So you see this Z array has like 50 rows and 10,000 columns corresponding to 50 days and 10,000 trials, and then we calculate the return. So the return is nothing but this particular formula, e to the power of r. R is drift plus volatility, right? So for e to the power we just use the exp function available in the numpy array which we have imported, numpy library which we have imported before. So np.exp drift plus the volatility is nothing but this standard deviation multiplied by the normal distribution, right? So this is the standard deviation, we multiply this by z, which is the normal distribution that we have generated over here. So now I have the daily returns for each day, and for each day I have those 10,000 random trials, right? And then I calculate something called as the price paths. Okay, so this is nothing but what is the probable price of the stock on each of those 50 days, and for each of those 10,000 possible combinations or 10,000 trials on each day. Okay, so for that I'm first creating an empty data frame with just zeros. Okay, so for that I'm using this function np.zeros_like. Okay, and then the first data point in that prediction array, I'll be using the latest price point of the stock. So we have stock data until yesterday, right? 20th of November 2021. So if you see this formula over here, to calculate the price of the stock today, we are taking the price of the stock yesterday multiplied by the e to the power of r. Okay, so this e to the power of r we have calculated just now using that normal distribution and everything, right? But in order to start our predictions, the first data point we need is the price of the stock yesterday as of 29th November 2021, right? So the first value in this prediction array, I'm putting the yesterday's stock price. So for that I'm just using this command data.ilog -1. So data, if you see, this is the stock price data that we have. Okay, so data.ilog -1 will give you the price in the last row of this data. So that is this 2922.28. Let me just run this particular piece of code here just to show you. Yeah, see, so this data.ilog -1 will give you the data in the last row of this data frame. That is nothing but this 2922.28, which is the stock price as of yesterday. Okay, so that I'm putting this value in this data set, which is this empty data set in which we will be making our predictions. Okay, then what I do is I will just for all the other rows in the empty data frame. So first row, it will have yesterday's stock price. Next row, from the next row onwards, it will multiply the previous day's data previous day's price data into this return value that we have calculated over here, the t power drift plus volatility. Okay, so for each of the subsequent rows, we will be calculating that that particular value of the stock price, and then we will be doing this for 10,000 trials on each day. That is what I have written here. This gives the predicted stock prices for 10,000 trials on each of the 50 days. Okay. So for that, I am using a for loop. 0th row of the data frame is already available with yesterday's price. So from the first row, it will take the value of the preceding row, multiplying it by the daily returns. That is the e power drift plus volatility. So after this, what we do is we will just calculate the average price of the stock on each of the 50 days. So if you see, let me just see if I can open this particular thing. Yeah, so this is how this data frame looks like. So it has 50 rows and 10,000 columns. Okay, so on each day, what is the price of the stock as per these 10,000 possible combination which come out of this normal distribution. So for each day you have 10,000 values, right? So what you need to do as the next step is on each day you have to calculate the average of these 10,000 values. Okay? That is what will give you the one single value for the price of the stock on each day. Okay, so that is the next step. So that is what I have written here. For each day, calculating the average stock price across the 10,000 possible trials that we have, and then this will give the forecasted price for the next 50 days. Okay, so if you see this data set which I just showed you, it has 50 rows and 10,000 columns. So just to make it more readable or more scalable, I am just transposing it so that it will have 10,000 rows and 50 columns. Okay, that is what I am doing here using this function transpose. And then by default, this is an array. I am converting that array into a data frame, for which I am using this function pd.dataframe. And I am just naming the column as average stock price. I'm just creating a new column in a new data frame, which I'm calling data underscore mean. This data underscore mean, I will be calculating the average stock price on each of the 50 days. Okay. And then for each of the columns that we have, right? So each column, if you see in this price paths 2, let me just open this. So price paths 2 is nothing but the transport of the price paths data. It has like the 50 rows and the 50 columns and the 10,000 rows. So for each column, it corresponds to one particular day. Okay, and for each day we have 10,000 trials. What we need to do is we need to calculate the average for each column over here. So average for day 1, average for day 2, average for day 3, and so on. So that will give the estimated stock price for each day of the next 50 days. So for that, I am using a for loop. So for each column represented by the letter C, for each column in the price paths 2 data frame, I am calculating the average. So this I am just storing it in a temporary variable called as mean underscore temp, and then as and when I calculate this mean on each day, I will append this to the data underscore mean data frame. So now if you see here on the right, this data underscore mean has 0 rows, right? But it has only one column with the name of average stock price, what you see over here. Right now this is empty. Now for each column I will calculate that average, and then I will store them one by one over here using the for loop. So once I run this code, just see what the results look like. So note down, right now it has 0 rows. Now just see what happens when I run this for loop. See, now this data underscore mean has 50 rows, right? So this 50 is nothing but the 50 days, that is the next 50 days of the stock starting from today. Okay, so what is the average across all those 10,000 iterations that we did? So this is how you do the so if you want to visualize this, you can use the same plot function. I've just not put that piece of code here, but you can do that. So this is how you use the Monte Carlo simulation to do the time series forecasting. So if you wish to explore this method further, instead of taking this average across those 10,000 iterations, what you can do is you can use some other metric like the mean absolute deviation or the root mean squared error or something like that. Okay, so what you can possibly do is you can split the data into training and testing data, and then for the testing data you have those 10,000 iterations. For the training data also you'll have 10,000 iterations. Then you can see for which of those 10,000 iterations the value is the closest to the training data. So the closest you can determine using this RMSE or some other metric like that, and then you can take that particular iteration which gives you the highest accuracy. Okay. So here, just to keep things simple, I have taken the average of the 10,000 iterations and then I have made the forecast. So this is how you calculate the forecast stock price using the Monte Carlo simulation method. Any questions? All right, so that's what I had for today.